This is Lemoore City Council Chambers, 429 C Street. Today is November 1st. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy of those in attendance. Thank you very much. Regular session will begin immediately following our study session. And so we are going to go into our 5:30 p.m. study session, SS1, Strategic Planning Report and Marketing. Mr. Olson.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Yeah, tonight we're going to go over the recommendations and the action plans for the May 9th meeting we had with HR Dynamics for strategic goals and planning for the city of Lemoore. We also have a slight one-pager on a potential local PR firm. And then we also have Mr. Tal Eslick here, who is going to be presenting on behalf of Vista, and a marketing plan that they put together for the city of Lemoore as well this evening. So with that, we'll get started. So here is we identified 3 different levels of goals in our meeting. There was 8 total goals identified for level 1, 5 total goals for level 2, and then 2 goals identified for level 3. As a staff, we're going to focus on the priority 1 goals, and that, while not forgetting about the priority 2 and 3, we'll continue to work on those, but the priority and the time and attention is going to be put on those priority 1 goals. So the 6 targets for the pillars that we identified were financial and staffing resources, economic development, infrastructure and beautification, communication engagement, strategic planning, and public safety. Top 1 priority level goals were to identify new revenue resources for staffing, review ordinances and general plan for business-friendly approach, develop branding and marketing for the city, upgrade sewer and stormwater systems. Some of those, the headings have multiple actions under them. That's why you don't see a total of 8 actions there. So for action plans, our goal 1 for target 1 was identify new resources for staffing. So we are reviewing and update existing fees. So each department director is looking over their fees and we'll see if we're missing anything. We did pass a resolution last time we did our fee study that allows us to increase our master user fees by the CPI index annually. So we'll be coming to council shortly to make that adjustment and to bring some different fees that we've already identified that we're missing on the park and rec side of our business. So those will be coming shortly. But overall, each department director within the city is going to be looking at their fees between now and January 31st of 23, the end of the month. So we can get any updates or fees we may want to look at and change. We can have future study sessions on those before bringing them to the council for a vote, and hopefully have implementation for the fiscal year starting July 1. We've entered into an agreement with Retail Strategies to assist with economic development. That's a 3-year contract. To date, they have already done the boots on the ground. They've come, looked, and did the market research on Lemoore. So with that, they take, and then they're spending the next 100 days developing the plan for Lemoore. So they should be finished with that by year end. The intent is they will come here then with their plan of their 100 days, give us an update, give us their overview, and let us know what they're doing. They've already made contact at the ICSC down in San Diego on our behalf at the conference, as I mentioned. So they made contacts with multiple new businesses. They've made contacts with some existing businesses and then some new ones that aren't interested yet, but maybe in the future. So stuff like that. I've received a full report on their visit to ICSC. So I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing out of Retail Strategy so far. And we'll definitely be having a study session just focused on what they're doing here in the very near future. Grant submittals is another thing we're looking at. So right now we currently do look for grants through the management analysts and department heads. We have a couple grants in play right now for planning that we're going over on our arena numbers. That was $168,000 grant. So that's being exercised as we speak. We've met with QK. There's some grants out there for infrastructure projects. And we're also using the US Gov websites to look for opportunities for grant submittals. So anytime we have project specific things, we will always look for grants. That's something that will be ongoing. Target 2, economic development. Goal 2, review ordinances and general plan for business friendly approach. So again, we're meeting monthly as department heads. Each department is reviewing the ordinances pertaining to their specific area of operation of the city. The goal is for the department directors to have all their recommended changes into my office by March. Again, plan on bringing potentially another study session on the big ticket items on what we're gonna, maybe if there's some major ordinance reviews, a couple of them that come to head are like the food trucks, home occupation permits versus little pop-up vendors that aren't really using their home but don't have a physical address. So some of those ones that have been out in the public before, we'll probably bring a preview of those, and then we'll give the city attorneys a few months to review those, and then we'll again, we're hoping to have those all in place for the July 1 budget cycle to start and hit. Zoning ordinance review, that'll be with Steve Brandt, the city planner, and Christie. They're going through and reviewing ordinances. Although we do keep up with the different rules and regulations coming out, we want to make sure we're buttoned up and we're meeting all the requirements of some of the new housing laws. So we'll be bringing a full zoning ordinance review to council again in July 1st of 2023. And then the general plan update is another thing we need to do. So we currently expire in 2030. Yes, sir.
Does that include like the CC&Rs that we have in the city?
The CC&Rs aren't part of the zoning ordinance. Those are usually specific, if I'm correct here, on the developer and what's required of different businesses. But one of the things on the zoning ordinance we're going to talk about is our minimum lot sizes, CUPs, try to clean up languages like that, so we're not having so many CUPs, or at least have our zoning ordinance that kind of meet what's going on around us.
Yeah, I think that would really be helpful, and particularly if we wanted to design the city differently in terms of what's available or what we'd like to have available in certain areas, so that the developer knows what our intent is. That you know we're having a design put forward as opposed to them coming in and doing it in terms of lot sizes, things like that. But the CC&Rs, I wouldn't mind if the law firm would take a look at some of those. I don't know if any of them are appropriate nowadays. We have some holdovers from
back in the
centuries.
day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Centuries.
Point taken. Recorded. Okay. And then I'll jump back. So we're still talking general plan update. General plan update currently expires in 2030. It'll take probably 18 months from start to finish on the general plan update. And we will have to run concurrently with that a new environmental impact report. So with your general update, it has to come your EIR. So we can be prepared for about 18 months from start to finish to get that done, and probably anywhere from $700,000 to about $1.2 million to update that general plan and get the EIR done and get it to where it needs to be. So probably looking at doing that 26, 27 timeframe. Don't want to wait till the last minute, but it'll be a couple years down the road before we do our general plan update, unless looking at some of these new reviews on our ordinances and zoning kind of forces our hand to look at it a little bit sooner.
One of the things I think we should look at is, particularly in the new housing development, is the minimum speeds we want in broadband to these areas. That so the developer has to make sure that whoever has the franchise in this area is delivering those speeds to every resident. Because we have a kind of a hodgepodge of speeds in the city here with respect to who's.
I'll check with Public Works to see if that's something we could make as a city standard. Not sure if there's a way we can make a city standard, or we'll take that into account.
Yeah,
we'll look at that.
I can give you some examples too.
Okay. Right. Okay, so another goal number 3 and under economic development is develop branding and marketing for the city. So we're currently locating and interviewing marketing firms. We were budgeted for $25,000 for this purpose and the fiscal year we're currently in. Couple ideas. We're going to touch point on one a little bit later in this presentation, but something we're definitely looking at is getting some help getting the word out and what the city's doing well, what we can improve upon in communications with our residents, as well as launching a new city logo as part of our rebranding. We're talking about going out to the public and maybe doing some type of a new city logo contest. So then when we start rolling in all these new plans and procedures, we can have kind of our new city logo to go along with it. And the intent there would be, it'll be open to anybody to submit, and then maybe staff picks 5 or 10 that bring to council, and then we'll show them, and then ultimately we'll have council approve a new city logo. And then I'm hoping with that is to go out and maybe get some donations to some of our local businesses, so we can get a couple monuments put on some of the main entrances of town and kind of wrap that whole thing up into one big launch and get some monuments on some of the main roads coming into town. So we got March 2023 on that, but I think we gave plenty of time there. We might actually start it sooner, but we want to have it wrapped up and completed by March of 23. One of the other goals for infrastructure beautification was to upgrade sewer and stormwater systems. So 10 years, we'll submit the 5-year CIP with funding availability. It'll be Public Works Director and Assistant Director, as well as Finance working on that. That'll be part of the submittal of the fiscal year budget next year. That'll be approved via council. We're always looking for additional funding grants. Right now, there seems to be quite a bit of funding available through the state on wastewater projects in particular. So we've got QK, gentleman John there is looking at some project specific for us right now, trying to roll out some of these grants so we can go after them. We also are talking with NAS Lemoore. We've had several meetings. There's a DOJ grant out there. Last year, they awarded $90 million in projects on communities surrounding military establishments, as long as you have a tie-in with the quality of life for the military. So, but all $90 million this past year went to Hawaii and Alaska. So nothing, so everything went Hawaii and Alaska. We have been working with the base on that, and a couple of reps from the base. So we are submitting for grant funding through the DOJ, I believe in April of 23. We're targeted to submit on some of those grants. We're also waiting on some data to come in as we start developing these 5-year CIP projects. If there's shortages, we should also have some numbers on what it's going to cost to get our wastewater to tertiary by then. So we have explore bond measures on here, like we kind of did with the water project. Bond measure would come in after we've looked at current savings in those reserve funds, any grants and stuff we can get. And if there's a gap to close, then we would probably look at another bond measure to close those gaps, because the improvements we make now are going to carry the city forward for the next 30 to 50 years. So I think it's appropriate. Again, we want to have to know if we're going to go after a bond, but that'll be part of the budget discussion for fiscal year 23. City master plans have been completed. So now that they're completed, we're kind of going through starting the planning process, how we can implement on projects. And now whenever Public Works is doing things, they're looking at the master plans. And if we're doing road work, they're looking if there's anything affected on the master plans, and if it's calling for an upgrade in pipe on that section of road, then if we're redoing road work, we would go ahead and start upsizing as we go, instead of say we have road repairs or road work, we're doing road work, only 2 years later come back and rip it out, and have to redo it. So we're using the master plans as kind of our guide to help scope projects moving forward. And then the Public Works analyst will start working on revisiting LLMD fees, which is our lighting landscape maintenance districts. Again, we have many of these districts. They are a majority underfunded. There's only one district, actually two, one that holds its own and has an inflator attached to it. And that was when we took back several years ago and were able to pass a vote. And we put a CPI on it, and that's zone 8. And then the other thing we're looking at is potentially community facilities districts. So I've asked John Doyle from QK to start taking a look at CFDs and to see if they can give us some guidance on there. And we also have Wilden, who does our current LLMDs and PFMD engineering report. So that is something we'll look at on the community facilities district, and maybe just make the whole city a single district. And that way we could take care of all the zones we have now, potentially put in more road work. So we kind of spread that cost around the city for the overall beautification of the city. But it is a 218 process, and it has to go to the voters, and the voters have to approve it. So if we're going after a CFD, we'll have to make sure the communication, the work up front, so people understand the benefit and why we're doing what we're doing, and show them what they're getting to pay for. So we'll need a good PR campaign on that one. Absolutely, for sure. So we hope to have that ready to come to council for discussions by March 1st of 23. Okay. One of the other action goals is to keep crime low. This is something that, I think it's important that we decided to put this on our goals, although keeping crime low is always a high priority for Lemoore and our police department, our chief over there. So law enforcement's tough right now. It's hard to find people. It's hard to hire people. A lot of people aren't coming out of the academies. It's very competitive now. So we're looking to build back our reserve program. The chief's constantly looking for good people to get into our reserve program. We've actually started looking at people as they're still in the academy. Once they get to a certain point, they can theoretically be hired as a reservist once they pass certain modules. So we're looking at doing some of that instead of letting them get all the way through the academy and then trying to get them. We're trying to bring them out as they're going through and kind of sponsoring them through, letting them work with us. So when they come out, they've already experienced what it's like to be a police officer in the city of Lemoore and in our community. So we're hoping to have good results on that. And that is brand new. They just started doing that. Some things we already passed is a 10% COLA went into effect on 9/5 of 22. And that went a long way with our officers there. So that one's completed and done. And then we were authorized to go out and do a class and comp that was authorized back on September 5th. So we'll be coming to council at a future date with that, but we're hoping to have the class and comp ready to go for next fiscal year as well. Maintain strong community relations. So I think our PD does a really good job on social media. They have quite the following, but so they'll continue to put the word out on social media, do community events. We just had, Red Ribbon Week and National Night Out, and a lot of people out at Heritage Park. It was a good evening, great to see. So events like that, officer interactions. I see our YDOs at the schools. I still have one in high school, and they speak very highly of the staff we have out there and helping these kids. Not only are they there to help protect the school, but to kind of mentor and help these kids out, and they're hitting it out of the park. And then marketing and public relations, which internally we do okay getting some stuff out there, but there's room for improvement. So we're going to hear more about that later on this evening. Did you skip one? Okay, and then this is almost a duplicate slide because it was addressed public safety, recruitment, and retention. So I kind of already did that. And the things that are going to help us with that are the competitive pay, which council's graciously already done. And then we get our class and comp to make sure we're in alignment with neighboring communities. But, I think Lemoore has a lot to offer. I think the leadership of the PD is second to none. And I do think that people realize the benefit of working in a community like ours, that where the residents still support their local police department, and we're not looking to defund anything. We're looking to enhance and build them up. Yeah. Okay, that was the priority 1 goals that were identified. We did have second level goals, which were explore grant opportunities. I already covered that. That is something that we will continue to do and always do. Explore additional consulting opportunities. So right now we have consultants that really help us out on, whether it be the city planner, there are contract engineers, planners through QK, but we do have consulting opportunities right now. They're helping us out in the finance world, and those have proven to be beneficial. Audits and everything are going much easier. We're getting the data out, not having any major findings, things of that issue. So we'll continue to look for consulting opportunities where it makes sense and is a win-win for the city and kind of saves us money and gives us a bang for our buck. Improve downtown. It's kind of broad, but we do have a downtown roundtable with the merchants that has been advertised. Emails have been sent out. We've been down handing out flyers personally to our downtown businesses. We're probably 50-60% through handing those flyers out. We're going to finish handing those out by the end of next week. So, and that meeting is scheduled for December 13th. I believe it was 5:30 p.m., but we don't have we'll determine where we're going to meet after we get all our RSVPs for that event. As well as with retail strategies, what's included in their services is kind of a downtown revitalization plan. So it's something above and beyond just retail. They really look at downtown and help bring recommendations and things to drive downtown. And I know we're also looking at public works projects to help out with the parking, the debris in the curbs, drainage issues that are going on downtown. So lot going on downtown. Pretty excited for that one. And then explore enhanced use of technology to communicate with residents. So again, we do okay with our Facebook and we have an Instagram. Parks and Rec has been putting out a lot here in the last 30 days. So we're getting better at it, but we're still looking for some help on that, which we'll discuss here in a little bit again. And then conduct strategic planning annually. That was one of the goals we identified. So if we do it annually, I think it really would want to do a recap where we're at. Try not to get too far off our priority one goals till we get them to completion. So just keep that in mind when we come back and go after another strategic planning session. And then third priority, level 3 goals, develop a city calendar. The city calendar exists on our webpage. So we've talked with IT. They've sent me the link and they're sending it to a few people in the organization. So when we're setting up in our internal pages and everybody has their own calendar, once they populate there, it'll automatically upload on our city calendar. So I expect that to be active here within the next 30 days. So you should start seeing more on that. And then keep strong community ties. I think that's something we always do. We continue to do that. I still have an open door policy in my office. I know our department heads can be reached. If people call and ask for meetings, we try to accommodate them whenever we can. And I do know that this council has been very accessible to our residents as well. So marketing plans and public relations, we've received a couple proposals for marketing. Well, really we received one from Lisa, which Talasik will be talking about here. The other marketing plan we have is with retail strategies, and that's really about economic development, growing businesses. We're going to bring them back separately on another date. Did have an interesting conversation today though, like regarding the Kmart building. I had a developer call trying to find out how to get in touch with them. And we found out that through a lot of the research, the people they had listed as the brokers for that building are no longer brokering the building. So it took me 2 weeks to get somebody to call me back on the owners, but we finally straightened it out today. We've got good contacts. So we're sending that information out, and the developer did mention maybe doing something themselves there. And when I asked if they've heard of retail strategies, they were like, yeah, absolutely. So now we're combining those two, the owner with retail strategies, and they're going to go to work on something for us. So, so that's where that one's at. The other one, you want to pull it up real quick? The one pager. this is kind of a PR plan. This would be done locally with like an independent contractor or somebody the city goes in contracts with. It's somebody that's pretty active in the community. We've met and had a few conversations. But the who of the public relations campaign would be residents, businesses, and visitors of Lemoore, California. The what would be to effectively communicate all the city has to offer and what it is doing to better the community. The where's would be Facebook, Nextdoor, city website, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, basically all your platforms. Ensuring phone trees are accurate within the city. We've been working on that. We have found a few errors on our phone tree that were being corrected. Posted flyers, banners, mailing. So just getting out there. It seems like any more today, everybody's on their phone. So if you have an app on your phone, you can kind of get in touch with people. The why, to familiarize residents, businesses, and visitors with everything going on with the city, including behind the scenes, and to garner participation, to increase business sales, and to lower incoming calls and questions. And then the when, on this plan here, we're thinking 2 to 4 times a week, something would go out and get posted. We would look at all our businesses and divide them by how many weeks in the year, and then make sure we're highlighting every business at least once a year on our platforms at a minimum. And kind of get ahead of things. I think we're due a little bit better than this, but there's still like, if for some reason we have to kick on well 12 over on the west side of town, we typically have color issues and some odor issues. So getting stuff like that out ahead of the game if we have to do that, so people are aware that it's coming and going to happen, instead of just turn on their faucet and being like, what the heck's going on? Just so basically anything that's out of the normal operations of the city, anything that doesn't kind of follow the normal day-to-day is what we'd be making sure we get out there and getting ahead of it with people. This year, we're thinking this year would not be more than like $1,000 a month to get the additional help to kind of hammer all the stuff and get it out there.
So is this a position you're talking about?
That is not a position. That would be more of like a consultant opportunity without hiring a body for this one, as it's outlaid here.
So this is kind of like that PAO thing I was talking about.
Kind of, yeah. And the things we're doing, I know you, Mayor Lyons, one of your concerns was getting additional help and stuff for Parks and Rec. But one of the things we've done is council did authorize 2 additional maintenance bodies, and they're to help set up for rentals, tear downs, things like that. They are assigned to the maintenance department, but they're utilized in Parks and Rec. One of the things we're going to be doing is, in our MOUs, we have schedules. We can do different schedules. So 2 of those individuals' schedules will go. We're going to send letters out notifying the bargaining units that we'd like to run 2 of those guys on from Tuesday through Saturdays. So right now everybody's on Monday through Friday. So anytime we have to bring in on Saturday, it's overtime. It's not efficient for us. And constantly having people having to be called in when they think they're going to be off. So a schedule change there really would benefit overall efficiencies for the city, and operationally it would just make things a lot smoother. And then, like right now we have flag football going on, so we have activities going on Saturdays. NJV basketball and the rec center is getting ready to take off here in a next month. So that facility will be open every Saturday through,
Yeah, that's why
having people, making sure we got enough people to cover.
That's why I chose the Parks and Rec, because it kind of feels like the PIO world, like all this right here, as well as Parks and Rec, it kind of feels like they kind of occupy the same territory, and which is why I was kind of going in that direction.
Yeah,
but this is good. Yeah, I like this. When do you think you're going to have this up and running?
So that's part of the conversation tonight. We'll let Tal Eslick come up next and talk, and then the mayor has been gracious enough to let me scoot out a little early. I have a personal thing to attend tonight, but willing to come back at next council meeting if we need more time to go over these, or if council just wants to give the recommendations to the city attorney and to the city clerk. And then if this is something they want to pursue, this is something we can just pull the trigger on immediately. It's already budgeted. We have 25,000 set aside for marketing in this year's budget. So this is something that we could drop the contracts, have the attorneys review them and then pull the trigger.
Right on.
So if
Cool deal.
it's something you guys like, I'd like to hear that feedback, and I will reach out to you all individually as well and have a conversation about how what your thoughts are.
Cool deal. All right, well, get out of here. Go do your thing, and we'll take the rest from here.
So before I head out, I'd like to introduce Tal. Tal, come on up. I think you know a majority of this council potentially, but
Rest of everybody. Good to see you guys this evening.
thank you.
All right. Good evening, council. I'm happy to pursue this however you guys see fit. We can walk through the presentation. I'm not sure how much time folks have spent on it, but happy to talk about the work that we're excited to hopefully do with the city of Lemoore. Should I just walk
Yeah,
through the
Just
presentation?
walk
Okay,
through it.
great. All right, so as Nathan mentioned, my name's Tal Eslick. I work with Vista Consulting. Have spent most of my career in the San Joaquin Valley. Worked for Congressman Valadeo. Went and worked with PG&E for a few years and then returned home with our consulting company, Vista Consulting. We work with about 16 different, mostly private companies. Anthem Blue Cross, Comcast, Westlands Water District, Kings River Water District, Club One Casino in Fresno, and a number of others. And we pride ourselves in being a San Joaquin Valley focused public affairs, public relations firm. So what we put together here this evening is our first take on an approach that I think would be a way for Lemoore to achieve a couple of goals that I think were mentioned for the most part in Nathan's presentation. And that would be to increase city brand awareness, build engaged communities, track and measure performance, and that one's really for us and our accountability to you guys. Highlight Lemoore regionally to attract new jobs in industry. I think that also extends to sort of retention as well. There's a number of ways we can pursue these goals. Social media is probably the one that's kind of top of mind for most folks. We added a little bit of, it's actually the slide after this we'll talk about in a moment, but I think it goes without saying that many folks, regardless of sort of age or what community you're referring to, rely pretty heavily on social media. So how you position yourselves as a city, that's probably the most obvious vehicle to do to promote, whatever your message ultimately is. I think as it relates to Lemoore specifically, from what was described by Nathan, that may be highlighting city services. That may be promoting events that are coming up that are sponsored by the city. I don't pick up on anything that's terribly unique about Lemoore. I think you guys are a city that does a very good job. I think you're viewed externally as being pro-business, but like any city, you've got constituents and you've got other interests that are maybe not aware of all the good work that's happening. So with these sorts of projects, I think it is a balance of promoting yourself externally, but also promoting the work that's happening internally, including with your guys' roles as city leaders among your constituents. Now that can very quickly slide into, debates on Facebook and things like that, which I don't think anyone wants to be part of, and I don't think are terribly productive, especially in a government or a public role. Campaign world is a totally separate one, but what we're talking about this evening, I don't know that it's terribly fruitful to engage with folks. It's very time consuming. So really it's about promoting and positioning yourself in a positive way. And again, there's a number of ways that we can do that. I believe that, and Nathan touched on this, especially as it relates to Facebook and the Parks and Rec department, I think you guys have done a really good job. I think you're very active. We have clients that still don't have websites. We have clients that, what they put out looks really poor, and that's not a good way to position yourself. I think you guys are doing a pretty good job. And it seems like it's, especially on Instagram and to a certain extent, LinkedIn, there's, opportunity there, but I think you could, really sort of take it to the next level and ultimately, this would need to be an iterative process with you guys telling us what matters most, what you need to promote, some of which Nathan, I think, covered earlier this evening. I hadn't seen that presentation to this evening, so that was really helpful. But whatever that ultimately is, we can use different kind of vehicles to push that message out. And then it's a matter of things like high quality pictures, drone footage, videos. It's really just manipulating that content in a way that advances your guys' message or the city of Lemoore's message. Something that's mentioned in here that my team kind of jokes about it a little bit, but the calendar is such a key. And I'm not being very helpful. Can we go to slide 7? Thanks. I'm just kind of going on, not really helping you out there. Okay. Thank you. The calendar is so important to this because it ends up being sort of the spine that we're using to build out the work that we're doing, positioning you guys. So you probably could, if you had to, you could probably come up with a pretty good idea of the sort of pace and the sorts of events you guys are going to have in your community. You kind of know they're coming. If you can plan for that on the front end, you can decide which ones you want to highlight. You can decide which ones, I mean, that goes back to that sort of measuring aspect that you can determine what you need to promote and why. I think the calendar, as it relates to our engagement with clients, but also as it relates to clients advancing their goals, the calendar is so key because that ultimately is going to determine your pacing and when all your approvals are going to take place. Otherwise, what ends up happening is we'll put out probably a significant amount of content as it relates to approval with city manager or with a subcommittee, however you guys ultimately decide to engage with us. But the faster that we can, the more certainty we can have on what you guys want and what's coming, the better we can deliver. We're kind of like a certain type of ladder in that regard. If we have something to lean against, we can be very, very effective more often than not. And I think at times, deliberative bodies like a city council, there may be competing interests, and we may have a couple of folks who want to promote one thing and someone wants to promote something else. We fully expect that. The more that you guys can provide clear direction to us, the more we can move quickly and get good ideas and get your message out to more folks in this community, or to folks in the region that we're hoping, or further, that we're hoping to attract to Lemoore. Some of the things that Nathan had touched on with the conferences and ICSC, I think that stuff can be really good if you've got compelling materials and a message of why folks need to come to Lemoore. And that message can be refined and built in a way internally, and then you take it and you take it externally and you attract the businesses and the jobs that you want in this community. You can attract them here. What we put together here, and forgive me, this is our take, right? So again, this is a process and hopefully a partnership that's defined by your guys's goals and what you'd like to achieve. But we put together a 6-month plan. The first month of that is really sort of planning and getting that feedback and clarity on what you guys want this effort to be focused on. And the rest is really execution with, we prefer twice a month, but ideally short and fairly frequent and predictable check-ins where if we get off base or you guys are getting feedback that you're hearing directly, we can respond to it quickly and then, get back on track. What can happen is folks bring in any environment, they bring in consultants and the consultants are kind of on their own and they're, kind of guessing what the direction will be and they don't get that. I'd prefer that ongoing feedback loop so that we know always that we're responding to the things you guys want. And I'm assuming those things will be the things you're hearing from your constituents. So there's a little bit more background on the team, which you can read at your leisure. Again, we, in my very biased opinion, are uniquely suited for this type of work because our focus is this community, is Merced to Kern County. And if I'm being honest, it's really that Kings, Tulare, Kern, Madera, Fresno kind of core. That is our focus. Most of our clients are in that space, or they're folks from outside the area who want to be introduced to this community. So I will say I'm really excited about it. I think you guys have a very strong foundation to build upon. And I, hope we have the privilege of working together. Happy to, this is dangerous. You guys didn't give me a time, you didn't give me a time limit, but happy to field any questions you guys have this evening. And appreciate the opportunity to speak. Yes, sir.
Tell, how many cities do you work with now?
Cities specifically, no city governments really on the water agency side has been, and a couple of, and the reason I'm being a little bit moved around, we do some crisis communications work that is under NDA, so it's a little bit different. I would say it's a very similar approach.
Go. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Lemoore City Council Chambers for 29 C Street. Today is November 1st. No more Halloween. We are going to go ahead and stand for invocation by Mr. Reed. He's going to come up to the podium and give us invocation. And after invocation, please stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we come before you humble tonight, and we just pray that you would be with us, that you would guide us, that you would give those in authority over us the proper recognition and words to say, and that you would bless us all with a sound mind and to do the things that you would have us to do. We ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, Mr. Reed. Look at that. Okay, roll call.
Good evening. Councilmember Cheney,
Yeah.
Councilmember Gornick,
Present.
Councilmember Orth,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Matthews,
Here,
and Mayor Lyons.
I am here.
Thank
you guys messed me up today. I
Yeah, I
don't know
know.
what to say. I don't know.
So I was like, you know what to say.
Agenda approval additions and or deletions?
There are none.
There are none. That's going to take us into public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. The public will have an opportunity to comment on items on the agenda once the item has been called and the mayor opens the item to the public. With that being said, do I have any public comment? I know I have one. Okay, go ahead. We'll get you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, council and people watching the recording and live session. My name is Alex Walker, City of Lemoore, and I'm here to remind everyone again that this Saturday, November 5th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Lemoore Rotary is hosting our annual crab feed. I'm very excited to have worked on this committee and project this year. It's going to be a great turnout, a great event. If you're interested in purchasing tickets, you can text Lemoore Crab 2022 to 243-725 to register and buy tickets. I also have tickets if anyone in the audience tonight would like to buy some tickets for me after the meeting. But I just wanted to take this moment to also thank the city of Lemoore and the Lemoore Recreation Department and building for hosting us and being very accommodating, supporting us in this project. And I just really want to emphasize the importance of this event and funding community causes, helping us with our projects that help support literacy, helping building beds for children and other houses around the community, and just the overall good this is going to do for our local community. Like, this is local dollars staying locally. It's an amazing event. I'm very proud to have been a part of it this year, and I look forward to seeing some familiar faces at the event. Thank you for your time, and I respectfully want to thank again the city of Lemoore. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other public comment? I know Mr. Reed's not coming up here. He did it. Oh, here he comes.
Mayor, city council members, I would just like to suggest to everyone that you be sure to get out and vote next week. That's an election that's important not only at the national level, but also at the local level. There are many propositions in the state. We need to read those carefully and decide which way to vote. I know there's one that you need to really read carefully in how you vote, yes or no, because yes and no might not mean the same thing. And of course, we have 2 council members that are up for election, so good luck to both of you. Thank you.
Good luck, Mr. Gornick.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Any other public comment? No. Nope. How about online? Okay, going once, going twice. We're on to ceremonial presentations, and seeing that there is none, that's going to take us to department and city manager reports. Are you going to do this, or do you want me to do it?
I can do it. I know the police
on.
chief has a report.
I like you doing it. You do it.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just want to remind everybody that our Citizens Academy is still accepting applications. We have an official start date of January 11th. That'll run for 8 weeks. Every Wednesday from 6:30, usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours each session. From there, those that are interested in continuing on with that program, they have the option of applying for volunteers in policing once they've completed the Citizens Academy. You can still get those applications online. PD personnel will be participating in the Bearded Up and Color for the Cure challenge this month. So
Wait, so what does that mean?
in years past, we've done No Shave November.
Yeah,
We've partnered up with a pediatric cancer research nonprofit to donate what we would typically donate to a cancer organization. They have a Color for the Cure side of No Shave November.
so
Where-
that means you're going to color your beard?
Now you can paint your nails.
Oh,
Alright.
your nail.
These are female officers and female staff. They can, this is not typically in our department policy to
Mhm.
have painted fingernails out there on patrol. But we're gonna go ahead and allow that and allow beards for the next month. And then again, all the money raised will go to pediatric cancer research. Tomorrow morning is our annual Officer Diaz Memorial Run. This will be our 3rd year. We will be meeting out in Huron at 05 in the morning and making our way over to the PD. Hopefully around midday, hopefully. That's what we're shooting for. And then lastly, our annual shoe drive is coming up. We will partner with the schools in obtaining names of children in need, and we'll be passing those shoes out on November 18th. Thank you. Sure. Absolutely. So the Citizens Academy is, like you said, an 8-week-long program. It meets every Wednesday. And it gives a pretty in-depth overview of everything we do at the police department or in law enforcement. We have guest speakers every Wednesday. Session 1 is kind of a brief introduction into community policing. Session 2 is criminal law, criminal justice system. Session 3 is the use of force and firearms. Session 4 is public relations. Session 5 is gangs and homicide. Session 6 is victims' rights, domestic violence, and child abuse. Section 7 is patrol procedures, traffic, DUIs, and citations. And then the last session is a review and the final exam and graduation.
Right on. Thanks, chief.
So I got a question, Chief. So on the agenda, we have the skateboards and scooter code that we're gonna be looking at.
Mhm.
So if if I'm facing west on Bush Street. Okay. And I see an individual on a scooter.
Mhm.
Coming due east, right at me.
Mhm.
Okay. But they're on the right-hand side of the road. Okay. In the second lane. Would they be subject to a fine?
They're subject to the same standards as a vehicle listed in per the
So,
vehicle
An
code.
automobile would be coming the wrong way, right?
If they're traveling on the wrong way, in the wrong way of travel, yes, they could be.
Even if they're in the
subject
bike lane.
Bike lane's directional.
Yeah, there is no.
Did I say that out loud?
to- Well, and you're talking about that section of Bush, there's
There's no bike lane.
Well, there is a white lane. There's to the right side of there's a parking.
It's called,
Parking lane.
it's called a white lane.
Yeah, the white line, the fog
right.
line. That's the fog line in my world.
Right. They're subject to the same rules of the road.
Yeah.
It's no different than if you're on a bicycle,
Yeah.
or a motorized scooter, a bicycle.
And now we're talking about spirit of the law and letter of the law.
Well, I
Right,
was
right,
just,
right, Chief?
I was just wondering, if
You were not wrong.
I blew my horn. I was trying to give him maybe, tell him to get out of the way, he might get hit. but,
Right.
He doesn't listen.
We'll
He was-
clean it
and
up
he had
afterwards.
only had one hand on the handlebars too.
Yeah.
That was the other
We
one.
will clean it up afterwards.
Mary, help us. Help us, Mary,
Thank you.
please.
Thanks, Chief.
Uh,
She said you're on. Okay, so I think Ray, did you have an update as well?
Yes.
And I think that's our last update.
Thank you. There's nothing on the agenda that we can go off.
Well,
Not yet.
All right, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just going to go over a couple things that we're doing in rec. Friday, November 11th, where of course will be the Vets Parade on D Street, and that starts at 6 p.m. And then Saturday at November 12th, we have the Veterans Walk Run. And that'll start at the Veterans Park at 8 o'clock in the morning. And this year we have a little unique thing going on. I talked to PD and also fire, and we're gonna do a little competition. We're gonna do a perpetual trophy. And whoever comes in first will be able to keep that trophy until the next walk run. So it's a pretty nice trophy. I was talking to Chief about it. It's about 21 inches and tall. It's gonna be pretty nice. So hopefully we get a little competition going. And if you want more information on the walk run to register, if you go to our website, you can click on the link and then there's a company that's running the program for us. So you can register there. And then Saturday, November 12th, we have closing ceremonies for flag football at Lions Park. So we're going to do another national anthem. We talked to fire. They've committed. We're going to have a fire truck out there with a flag, and from 8 to 8:30, and we're going to have the last games for flag football, which we're excited about. And then we're going to hand out some medals and stuff like that for all the kids who are participated and stuff like that. So we're going to send some invites out to council members. So if you guys have an opportunity to be out there, we ask that you do. So we have that. And I was going to bring up about this past Friday. I was talking to Chief, but I don't know between the parties. Got some conflicting scores. We had a little softball tournament. It was PD 5-0 versus the Real Heroes, the fire department. And
Oh, you're stealing my thunder.
so the score, I talked to Chief. I don't know if the score is accurate, but we were told it was 26-12 fire department.
Was it a softball or?
Yeah, it was a softball game.
Yes, over at yeah. at the
You don't have a
park,
mercy
so,
rule?
What?
No mercy.
But Chief said
So-
that they scored a lot more on the PD side. So anyway,
So PD won or lost?
PD lost,
Lost?
fire department won. So anyway, that's all I have. And I just want to thank the maintenance department. They helped prep all the fields out there. They spent quite a few hours for that. So they took care of that for us. And I also want to thank the recreation department, of course, the city manager and everybody in the city and council for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ray, I have a question.
Yeah.
How's everything going down there with, have you guys, is your software updated, all that? Is that done yet or?
For Tyler Tech?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
we're going through training. I'm going through training and, we're anticipated. Schedule right now says December 28th to be up and running. I don't know if that's gonna be quite the right week because Christmas and New Year. So we'll have to see, but, that's what they're anticipating. So we've been going through the preliminary part of it. This next scheduled, training, we're supposed to basically start building our program. Right now, we're just in a training module. So now we're gonna actually start working on that.
Now, do you see a possibility, I didn't mean to interrupt you if I did, okay, where people will be able to pay online using a debit card, credit card?
That is what we're reaching towards. That's our goal, that it will have that module. I haven't seen that yet or haven't been trained on it. But that's supposed to be
End
part of the
result?
package with, yes, so they'll be able to do stuff online. And then I also got a new program called Team Sideline that we're gonna have up and running. We're finishing our training tomorrow. We have a site built already, and what that is that allows us to schedule and also to communicate with coaches and with parents. And it's a pretty cool system. So they work with other city rec departments, and so it doesn't tie in with Tyler. We talked to Tyler about seeing if maybe we can integrate. But what's really going to be nice about it is that we can do multiple emails and text messages. We can stay in communication. The coaches can get on there. They can communicate to the parents and we can see what's going on. They can schedule things. It's really an awesome program. So I'm really excited about that. So
Did you guys pilot that this last time or? I thought I heard something about it.
we did about, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we went through and we had a little training seminar on it. And then we followed up with the second one. We had another company we were looking at, but this Team Sideline seemed to be what worked best for us. And they work with cities, so they're familiar with us. And they said that they can kind of work around our stuff. So we were excited about going with them. It was the best move, I think, for the money and stuff like that.
Cool.
So
Thank you.
we're excited. Yep. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
That's it. Yes.
Okay, so that's gonna take care of our department and city manager reports, which is gonna take us to consent calendar. Items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or a member of the public requests individual consideration. They are 3-1, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, October 18th, 2022. 3-2, approval of the second reading ordinance 2022-07. 3-3, approval of resolution 2022-39. So would anyone on council like to pull any of our, yes, sir?
Not necessarily want to pull it, just want to ask a question. Did we do a public hearing on the scooters?
You did that at the last meeting.
We did. At the last
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah,
But it was just one week. In other words, it was on the agenda last time and we had.
Right.
it. So,
Yeah.
Right, so you have it was a notice public hearing that occurred at the last council meeting. You have to have 5 days in between the first and second reading, and the second reading has to occur at a regular meeting.
Right.
So that's where we are tonight, and it can be on consent.
My concern is, we just went over the strategic planning. We talked about communications and interacting with the community, stuff like that. It doesn't seem like we give people a really good chance to interact about some of these topics. And just to me, seemed like we might be able to get a couple dozen people in here and talk about this. I don't know.
So Mayor, I recommend that you pull that item from consent.
Mhm.
Ask for a vote on the 2 remaining items, and then we can talk further about the second reading.
I don't necessarily want to pull, I'm just talking about process, in terms of what
Right.
we did with strategic planning.
Okay. that's
So
fine.
my concern, though, is that members of the public may have the same concern that you had or the same questions, and it would give them an opportunity to also talk about it.
Okay, so 3-2 is pulled. How about 3-1 or 3-3? Council?
3-2.
3-2. So open it to the public. Would any members of the public like to pull 3-1 or 3-3? Nope, seeing none, back to council. So now I'm looking for a motion to approve 3-1 and 3-3.
I will make that motion.
Okay, Mrs. Matthews, and I need a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Orth, Ms. Matthews, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Orth,
Yes.
Mr. Cheney,
Aye.
Mr. Gornick.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Ayes have it. So now that's going to take us to 3-2. The approval of the second reading of the ordinance 2022-07, the amending of chapter 6 of title 6 of the Lemoore Municipal Code relating to skateboards, scooters, and roller skates.
So if you could just open it up to the public unless council has any more comments or questions.
Okay, so does council have any more comments? Or any other buses they'd like to run over with? No, none? All right. So now we're going to open to public. So,
It was a fire truck
oh, it's a fire truck.
that ran you over.
Same thing, same horn. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and hello again, council. I know we spoke about this at the last meeting. I was also in attendance, and I just want to, I know we kind of focused, in my belief, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit outside the scope of what this ordinance actually is. We talked about the potential of having a scooter company here. In my understanding is that that's not what that means. My understanding, and chief can correct me, is just updating our ordinance to reflect traffic code
Yes.
by the state.
That's
So-
correct.
Yes, so the scooters would be an entirely separate issue that would be maybe considered in the future. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that and just understand it better, because I know at my last public comment, I was expressing interest in the scooter company and not so much towards the ordinance itself being updated. But I do want to express support for updating the ordinance to reflect current traffic codes. That way we have that clarified language. That way we are well informed about what is actually written in the law, and then that way we can better enforce our city with the law. Thank you for your time and thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for people that go the wrong way on the street, probably. Yeah, so we can enforce
Higher
that.
standard.
Yeah. I'll just tell you, when you're going the wrong way on the street, you can see the traffic coming, because when you're going with the traffic and you can't look over your shoulder very well. You can't see what's coming behind you.
They have these little mirrors you can put on a helmet and you can see behind you.
That's a good question. Do you have to have a helmet,
No,
chief, for a scooter?
not if you're of over 18, or is it 16? So is it the same for a bicycle? So if you're 17 years old and you're on a bicycle, you have to have a helmet on? I thought it was, for some reason, I thought it was
I
16.
saw you with a fireman's hat.
That bus is getting bigger and bigger.
We still
Oh, yeah.
love you, Stu.
Is there any other public comment? How about online? No.
Motion to accept 3-2 as read.
So I'll go ahead and bring it back to council now, and I'm looking for a motion to accept 3-2 as read.
Second,
Oh, okay. Mr. Ward motions, Ms. Matthews second. Mr. Ward, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Matthews?
yes.
One yes, one aye. Mr. Cheney?
Aye.
Oh, 2 ayes, 1 yes. Mr. Gornick?
Aye.
Well, that's like 3 ayes and 1 yes. I'll vote aye as well. Ayes have it.
Of course.
So that's it for a consent calendar. And since we have no public hearing or business, we're going to go into brief city council reports. We're going to go ahead and start with ladies first, Mrs. Matthews.
Oh, you threw me off. Let's see, where do I start? Just kidding.
Beginning.
I just wanna, I know that Mr. Greenlee talked about the stuff that the rec is doing, the Boo Bash and the downtown candy crawl was amazing. The downtown candy crawl was put on by the downtown businesses and the Parks and Rec Department. And the Boo Bash was actually put on by a local citizen that just wanted something for kids to be able to do. Both of those were awesome. I attended a webinar for Rock Solid, which is a company that we made contact with at the League of Cities meeting in Long Beach. And it was basically concentrated on what citizens want digital access to. Just so you know, with our coming software, we're going to be covering most of all that is typically what citizens are wanting, with the exception of a city app. So everything else looks like it's going to be covered. So good job, city. I attended National Night Out, which was huge success. I don't think the chief did justice to the amount of people that were there. It was just insane. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I think that's a testimony to our police department and their community outreach. So thank you guys for all that you do, and especially your community outreach. KWRA, the last meeting was just interviewing the interim director for a permanent position. So that's pending contract. So hopefully we'll have a permanent director for KWRA at the next meeting. I attended a listening session on infrastructure investments with California Infrastructure Advisor, former Mayor of LA, Antonio Villa.
Yeah, there goes.
Thank you. I knew I was gonna mess that up, but that was a great meeting to attend. Lemoore actually had a seat at the table. I thought it was just gonna be, it says listening session, so I thought we were just gonna go and be talked at, but we were pretty much doing all of the talking, so it was good to get some of Lemoore's projects out there to the governor's office, so that we kind of have a heads up, you know, people know what we're looking at and what our needs are as a city. And then we kind of, Kings County was represented well, so we kind of got what we're looking for a county out there as well. So that was a great meeting to be a part of. The KCAO food distribution that is held at West Hills and also involves CalFresh. I always want to say Calviva. That distribution is going to be November 17th. I want to thank the entire Public Works Department. They hosted the Haker training this last week. There was a lot of people there, huge, and heard nothing but great feedback from as far as the organization of the event itself, our departments, the way they all run together, everything was positive feedback. So thank you guys for all of that. That was covered. Lastly, when we attended the Cal Cities in Long Beach just recently, there was a lot of talk about the different policy committees and being involved. I did apply for one of those I applied for a few of them, but I did get accepted to the Transportation, Communications, and Public Works Committee. So I look forward to being a part of that and seeing how that goes as far as being involved on outside of the city level. So we'll see how that goes, and I will keep you guys posted. Thank you.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
wow.
brief.
Oh, yeah, that was like a study session.
I
right
skipped
there.
some.
Mr. Worth.
I too attended the CART, my monthly CART meeting, and Caltrans wanted to make it very clear that the 41 between, I do believe it's Nevada and 198 will be closed for a bridge replacement September of 2023 through March of 2024. It's a hard closure. Basically, if you're going to go to the coast, you're not going 41. The route is 198 to I-5, I-5 back to Kettleman City, continuing up 41. It's already been pushed back one time. It was because of environmental. They cleared it. We're good to go. The Bush 41 roundabouts that we all love, they say are on schedule and fully funded. They're doing Clean California. It's between January 23rd and March 23rd. And there's funding for it, so you have to apply through Caltrans to do it if you want to do it. And there's a lot of money for the cities to do it or individuals. What else? That's out. I also spoke to CART. I had somebody approach me about getting a bench, some coverage on Hanford Motor Road across from the church, the the Mormon church. And I wish Nathan was here. I was going to ask him some citizens said that there's a lot of sticky bush. I don't know what they're called, the thorn on the ground there, and I was wondering if we can get that maybe cleaned up. We're looking at putting a shade cover across the street on the north side of Hanford Motor Road, doing it on the medium. They said was not cost effective. Cost too much money for concrete and stuff like that to do it. So I too attended the National Night Out. And I agree with Patricia that the chief very undersells himself. He did a very excellent job. There was a lot of people. I didn't get the final count of hot dogs. I heard it was 700. I know they had a wrapping contest between two groups of people that wrapped the hot dogs, and our own, she lost. So
I didn't talk about that
I
for
don't
a
know.
reason.
I don't know if there was a trophy involved, but
There was, but
she-
he didn't
she-
come to accept it,
lost.
so.
Unfortunately, because they wrapped a lot of hot dogs. Very well. Attended, there was a lot of people there. You did, hats off to you. You did a very good job, and your staff and everybody that helped did an excellent job. It's winter time, so everyone just stay safe, and the fog's coming, and well, we won't get fog unless we get
Yeah,
rain.
let's hope the fog's
Let's
coming.
hope we get-
So thank you for all the public works, everybody, every city staffs, everybody, you guys do everything to make it hard or make it good to live here and flush our toilets. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gornick?
I was glad that my seatmate here clarified this hot dog thing when he said a wrapping contest. I thought there were two groups were singing.
Yeah, I for a second, I thought they were too. I thought they were
Maybe next
singing,
year.
yeah.
Don't get her started.
Well, I'm glad the night out went well. A couple things on the horizon. One is the South Kings groundwater sustainability issue is percolating. And should be some interesting decisions made with respect to that, and we'll keep you posted, but it has to do, certainly affects us because it affects our wells. And basically everybody in King County. Real interesting. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cheney?
I just want to thank all the city employees and especially my heroes in public safety. They have people that I think one of the requirements is a knowledge of basic math. So I don't know if the fire department maybe miscalculated or exactly what, but I want to thank the Lemoore Police Department and thank them for their skills, their math skills. I also attended the National Night Out and some of the other things. I don't want to echo the what my colleagues said, but it was very, very well attended and very, very nice. So other than that, I again want to thank my heroes in law enforcement, and that's it.
Thank you, sir. Well, I would like to thank Mr. Reed for doing a vacation tonight. I'd also like to thank Mr. Tal Eslick for coming down. You young man for getting up and talking about the crab feed. Mr. Cheney, you go ahead and thank those police officers for their knowledge in policing. Don't thank them for their ability to play softball. I'm here to tell you, that's a whole nother thing. I don't know what the score was, but it was a lot to a little. We will say that. It would be one thing to comment on it. It'd be another thing to comment if you were there. So we'll go ahead and leave that alone. National Night Out was a huge success, Chief. That thing's getting, you're gonna have to like chop it up over a couple days if it gets much bigger. And you know, those 700 those 700 hot dogs? Well, I did the the Red Ribbon Week with Chief German. And I dealt with 700 first graders. You want to talk about difficult. 700 hot dogs, I'm sure it was hard. 700 first graders, that's a whole nother ball of wax, let me tell you. And we were at Meadow Lane School and we had all the first graders, second graders come out. They all wanted to drive the truck, honk the horn, the whole shebang. And then we went to MIQ. That was a little bit easier. MIQ is not quite the population as Meadow Lane, but we had a good time. Mr. Greenlee, thank you for all you do in Parks and Rec, and thank the Parks and Rec Department. Young man, thanks for coming out. And I'm gonna thank our attorney. Our attorney, she's a rock star over here. She sure kind of helps us out and keeps us on track at times. When I try not to look at her and just keep going. So
Puts up with a lot too.
she does put up with a lot. So everybody stay safe, be good. We're adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night.
Hey, Mayor. So why are our names